All right. It looks like we're live. Awesome. Alrighty, guys. We have a 20-second delay. That's why we started a little bit early. We got a fantastic show tonight. If you guys are coming over from YouTube, please make sure you're first of all liking this video. And then we're also going to ask you to comment in the live chat so we know who's out there. We have a awesome manufacturer on today that makes some amazing quality firearms. So I can't wait to start talking ARs and AR9s and all that good stuff. But please make sure you guys are commenting in the live chat as well. Since there's a 20-second delay, I want to make sure I acknowledge everybody that's coming through here. This is episode 225. Obviously, before we start the podcast, we got some really big news. I'm going to go over that prior to getting my man Nathan on here, but I recently took the plunge and I got my very first suppressor ever since moving from the communist state of Massachusetts. So yeah, it took 6 days from start to finish, and I got it back. I can't use it because the suppressor I have didn't come with a piston or the fixed barrel spacer. So now I'm on the hunt for a half by 28 piston at least so I can shoot my suppressor. And we got a project that I'm going to show off in a second because we are on Rumble here. Don't forget, guys, we can we can show guns on a live stream. Remember, if you're in the comment section, please shout it out now so I can at least see people are out there. Looks like we got a few people watching. But I will go ahead and start the show off like we're supposed to. Alrighty, what is Crackalacking, everybody? Thank you for joining the Shooting in the Woods podcast. This is episode 225 here on Shooting Gallery. My name is Joe. We truly appreciate everybody for swinging by today. We're on Rumble. We're live on Rumble. That means we can. Oh, that's already pulled back. But we can show guns on a live stream. This is the beginning of the SBR project. This is a pistol. For those safety sallies out there, we got the Matador Arms Mat 9K upper on the Brownells BRN 180 forged lower carbon fiber handguard. I've equipped this, which is an unloaded magazine, to take the endo mags from Mean Arms as well. Just look at that. Look at that. Non-reciprocating side charging, self-contained upper as I smashed the microphone like 3 times. This thing's dope. Guys, check out Matador Arms and obviously Brownells. Use code BOP10 to save 10% off your entire order. But before we get into the conversation, as always, thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate all your support. Big shout out to channel member Ron Wayne out there. I know he's going to be listening on the replay because he's part of that replay mafia. And thank you for letting me know that the comments were turned off on the recent video we posted on the Bear Creek Arsenal BC9. You guys have been killing it watching that, so keep it up. Let's blow it up. So let's thank the people that make this show possible.
Guys, this podcast is sponsored by the amazing people over at Aegis Gun Care. Aegis Gun Care, I've been saying it for years, is the leader in firearms cleaning, lubrication, and solutions. It's a 2-part system. You guys have been hearing it forever. I love Aegis Gun Care. This is the cleaner. It gets all your carbon off your firearms. It doesn't have a smell, and it's non-toxic. Then you follow it up with their special lubricant. We call it Joe Juice here on the Shooting in the Woods podcast. This stuff is amazing. It prevents rust. It lubricates your firearms. It does a ton of amazing qualities, you guys. I cannot stress enough how much I love Aegis Gun Care. They also have cleaning kits available. This is their field kit. You get everything from 22 up till 45. You can get patches, you can get hats, merchandise, and even some pretty cool cleaning mats. If you do me a favor and go over to Aegis Gun Care and use code JOJUICE, you will save 10% off your entire order. And we thank Aegis Gun Care so much for sponsoring today's podcast.
Alrighty, as always, use code JOJUICE on the best lubricant in the game. Make sure you guys check it out. Joe Juice, 10% off your entire order. Now, before we get into the conversation with Nathan tonight, let's also thank the other sponsor of the Shooting Woods podcast.
Guys, this podcast is sponsored by Liberty Bell Firearms. Liberty Bell Firearms is the Cerakote of choice here on the channel. They did the Kit Kat build, paint on the frame. This is the SCT frame. Everything we built over from Brownell's Parts. I said, man, I want this to look like a Kit Kat wrapper. He did it. This is awesome. The video is not doing it justice. He not only did the logo, but he did the pins, controls, all different colors, extremely custom. And he also offers laser stippling on things like AR-15 grips, laser engraving as well for metal parts, say your slide, frame, 1911 grip panels. Guys, if you want to get some really cool designs done or get some stuff Cerakoted, please check out Liberty Bell Firearms. They're offering the listeners of this podcast 20% off by using code JOJUICE. We thank Liberty Bell Firearms for sponsoring today's podcast.
Big shout out to Liberty Bell Firearms, my man Jay Bill. Look at that. We got a True Max threaded barrel because I was intending to thread my suppressor on here, but yeah, Silencer Co. decides not to add the pistons in with their guns. Big awesomeness with Silencer Co. I will be definitely putting it in the video because I had a very rather fun interaction with their customer service. So, guys, tonight, episode 225, we have a gentleman coming on that is making some of the most innovative guns I've seen in a while. The way he make the extreme attention to detail that he puts in with his firearms, with his PCCs, his AR-10s, and his AR-15, multiple different variations that we're going to get into, but they are top notch, and I cannot wait to talk about them. We have Nathan Mitchell of Mitchell Defense coming on the show. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Thanks
for having me on.
No, dude. As I said in the chat, before we started the show, I'm psyched. I can't wait. Now, you are in Pennsylvania. How was the weather up there right now?
We had a beautiful day. It was like 75 and sunny all day today, and it was like one of those days I just kind of had to get out and start walking around. Get out of the shop.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I since I'm down in sunny Florida, I've been getting a update from the missus up there, and usually it's it's a little chilly, and I'm like, oh, it's like 85 degrees. It's beautiful out, and then she's just like, I hate you, but that's cool, man. So yeah, Nathan, we like I said, we were talking before. Apparently, we actually might have met at IV88 this year. There's so many people there. I always forget the people that I actually do meet. So I'm excited to have you on tonight. We're going to be talking ARs, all the different types of firearms you make. But let's learn a little bit about your background. What made you kind of get into the firearms industry and becoming a manufacturer?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do a whole podcast on that one. But no, so I after high school, I went to the military. I tried to go to Buds originally, or I went to Buds, dropped out, and then went to Corps School, where I became a corpsman, medic. And after I did that, I went off to the recon pipeline. So I was in the Marine recon side of the house because they don't have their own medics. So I spent the rest of my career over at the recon side, which was fun, great time, which is actually a great community once you get out. And so, yeah, did that part, got out. My family had a pipe inspection business out in West Texas, which is like out in oil field country. As soon as I got out, me and my brother actually ended up taking over that company. And while I was there, we learned all the oil field stuff. So we did pipe inspection. So we actually brought in like downhole tubing that like goes in like oil wells, and we ran it through a magnetic testing machine that we'd induced it with magnetism, and we read the magnetic flux that was coming through it. Super nerdy. And then we learned if the pipe was still good enough to go back downhole. We had a bunch of other processes that we used to do, like the non-destructive testing, which is so much fun, especially the parts when it becomes destructive.
I'm guessing you used some explosives on that one.
No, so we actually used to we'd have to pressurize the pipe with water, And so like we'd fill it up with water and then pressurize it up and then see if like the collars will still hold or if the pipe will. But sometimes the pipe would explode because the walls would be too thin. So much fun. But learned a lot of engineering stuff while I was out in the oil field. I also was able to get my MBA. And learned a lot about running a business. And me and my brother ended up buying my dad out of it. And then we ended in 2019. So in 2019, and it was like I think it was like May or April or May, whatever.
So pre the world shutting down.
Yeah, so pre the world shutting down. So I started Mitchell Defense as a master's project. Me and a couple of engineers that were in my master or my MBA wanted to design a new armor piercing round for the government. It was kind of like we had this great idea the way we were going to do it, but so we had the facilities. We were going to use all the facilities that we were using for our like to manufacture everything, all that stuff. Well, then in June, I sold the pipe inspection business, and so like we lost all the facilities, everything. And once we sold that, well, so during that time, I also had a charter boat business down in the Virgin Islands, a bunch of condos and a property management business, and then something else. I had something else down there. Whatever.
You had your hand in a lot of things.
Yeah, I was doing a lot all at once. The boat ended up sinking, and the condos all ended up getting sold. But so whenever I sold the business in June, I actually ended up buying a restaurant down in the Virgin Islands, and the whole plan was to expand out the restaurant side. Everybody listening out there, never buy a restaurant. Get rich.
Okay.
You know, which is an experience. We had a lot of I learned a lot about business on that side of it, as well, which is a totally different style of business.
I come from being a bouncer and a line cook. I don't wish that upon anybody.
No, and like restaurants operate on like between like a 5 to 10% margin, and like if you think about it, like you're like if you have $3 million in revenue, which is not unheard of for a small restaurant, like in an entire year. I mean, that's very, very little cash flow to actually work with.
Yeah, especially when you're looking you need fresh product pretty much every single day and alcohol and you're paying payroll, insurances, all that stuff. Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you also have to think about the amount of money that's going out and the amount of money that's coming in is like pretty much equal.
Yeah.
And so like you're constantly having to try not to blow your margin. Which
I couldn't do it.
It's rough. It's a cash flow problem, but it was fun. I had an enjoyable experience. We were actually very successful at it. The restaurant that we had, and then after COVID happened, we were approached by like Margaritaville and about 4 other restaurants to take those over because we were apparently good at running a restaurant. Like I could run the business side, my partners were able to run the restaurant side, and like we just meshed really, really well. But I kind of quickly learned that they weren't going to be able to do multiple restaurants. They could run one restaurant. And so I ended up selling that too. I sold to them. So
yeah, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, that once it comes to a lot of restaurants versus just one,
well, that's where you make your money.
You make your money, but also that's where the stress becomes to stretch yourself so thin that elastic is about to snap.
So. Oh yeah, no, they were not able to pull it off. But kind of go back to the question, what got Mitchell Defense and got me into the firearms industry? Well, after we sold the business down in West Texas, my wife was like, we have to move to Pennsylvania because her family's from Jersey, and she's like, we're moving to Jersey. I was like, well, we're not moving to Jersey. So,
no, we're first of all, we're not going to Jersey ever.
That was like whenever we moved down here. I mean, I had a car full of guns and suppressors, and my wife's like, well, we're gonna stay at my mom's house. I'm like, we're not. Like, I'm not crossing that river. Like,
so
when I 32 felonies in the back of my car right now.
Oh, dude, when I moved from Mass to Florida last year, I shipped all my long guns down, but I had about 15, 16 handguns on me, 8,000 rounds of ammunition. 4,000 of it was armor piercing, and hollow point mixed in. So I had 4,000 rounds of illegal ammunition that you couldn't have in the state of New Jersey. I had high cap mags. Like that was when I had my Tech 9 too. So I had really large high cap mags. So I'm like, if I get pulled over, I'm going to jail. Like, there's no way. I was on the turnpike and I'm like, I just need to get out of here. And I got into Virginia. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. Which you're technically, it's very loose, but you are allowed to travel through the state with stuff.
Yeah, you have the right to safe passage, but a lot of cops don't realize that, and they think, nope, can't have this, and it's like,
oh no, they can detain you for 3 days trying to figure out that they're wrong.
yeah, exactly, and then add in you're traveling with suppressors as well. That's not a fun time. Yeah, no. So, but you're in a beautiful state of Pennsylvania. I'm a big fan of Pennsylvania, like it.
Yeah, it's a great
But
state.
yeah.
So we so after 2019, after we sold the business and I wasn't able to, we didn't like complete the ammo thing. There's a lot of like trying to figure out what I wanted to do in the industry, and like where there's gaps. Like because I mean I had a bunch of ARs. I was like, I think the AR market's oversaturated. The ammunition market, the margins are just zero. So if you aren't doing something specialized, it's just be a hard time. I was like looking at bolt rifles, and that's an even like a muckier like industry. Yeah, I mean we do bolt rifles. I do bolt
Oh,
rifles.
I didn't know that.
I do bolt rifles for very, very select clientele.
Oh, okay,
And
yep.
all of our bolt rifles are probably like $8,000 and up, and they're all going to Alaska to shoot some $40,000 sheep.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's a very
And I
niche
make about
market.
80 a year. That's about it.
I mean, hey, you got to do what
Yeah.
you got to do.
Oh, for sure. And that's more like a fun project. Because those take months to do, because you got to hand fit the stocks, and that's just kind of gets you away from doing the ARs.
Oh yeah, exactly. And there's other companies out there like Griffin and Howe, like that. Like if you buy a Griffin and Howe rifle, that's 3-4 weeks out of that guy's life on one gun. So
Oh, yeah.
it's nuts. So you just so you're looking at the market. And you're like, okay, AR market's oversaturated. Everyone's trying to do that. Race to the entry level AR. What made you get into what I would consider higher end AR-15s?
Yeah, so a lot of it was just kind of doing the research, kind of like diving into it's like, all right, well, like if we did ARs, like can we design something different that engineering wise that it's going to make it more reliable, accurate, and durable? Because like that was kind of the foundation. Like coming from a military background, it's like, all right, the rifles have to be better, like in some form or fashion, and those are the three things that actually matter in a rifle. I mean, it's got to go bang, it's got to go straight, and it's also got to withstand taking a beating.
Yeah.
Everything else doesn't really matter. I mean, there's some functionality stuff that's there, but if those things aren't there in a rifle, then it's completely pointless to have it.
Yeah, when I was in gunsmithing school, the main things I took away from when it comes to especially like assembling ARs and stuff like that was your connection between your bolt face and your barrel. That's where all the explosions are happening. Whenever I look at a gun, I look at the trigger because I don't do mil spec guns. I don't do mil spec triggers really. It's not my thing. I'm kind of a snob at it, but also I like the fit and finish of say your touch points on a rifle. That's what I'm looking for. That's how I'm like, oh wow, this is built, very, I like the okay, yep, and this feels comfortable here. So let's get into so you guys have PCCs, but before we get into that, what actually made you start saying, okay, we're gonna do ARs?
Yeah. So, and that's whenever I started like diving into, it's like, all right, how do we do this? And so the ATF inspection, actually, the ATF officer's like, well, are you going to be doing any variances? And I was like, what is a variance? And they started explaining it to me. I was like, wait, so like, I don't actually have to manufacture my own parts? And he was like, no. I was like, well, that's interesting. And that was like when it kind of triggered, like, all right, this is actually a viable option in trying to design something. It's like my concern was like, hey, I'm gonna have to spend like $5 million. I'm gonna have to buy all these machines that I don't know how to run, and then we're gonna like to just produce parts that we might be able to do it. So like research and development wise, I was like, there's no possible way that you could like break into this market because who's going to spend that much money just to see if they can do something?
Yeah.
And so that's whenever I kind of started experimenting with like, and then started getting like some of the engineers together, trying to do our own designs, trying to figure out how to actually make the rifles more accurate, durable, and reliable. And started pulling in some of the conversations and like stuff I learned in the oil field, and like we thermal fit all of our barrels to our uppers, which is not something that's super common in the AR industry.
It's not common as much anymore. I personally find that it's again that added touch to where you're going to get maximum accuracy potential, or otherwise if you're going to bed the upper receiver to the barrel, that's another way to get it. But thermal fitting is a extremely viable option for accuracy on any
Oh
AR.
yeah, we've proved it. I mean, we can get half MOA accuracy out of our 16-inch rifles. I mean, it's all day long, which is very unheard of in an AR market. And there was like a lot of things too, trying to like figure out like why are bolt rifles traditionally more accurate than ARs, and it's like in understanding the mechanics of a rifle, it's like that shouldn't matter. Like whether it's in a bolt rifle, because when the explosion goes off, there's no moving parts inside that bolt carrier group to get the bullet out the gun.
Yeah.
And it's the gas return that causes it to cycle and like to unlock the bolt. So like the actual mechanism that holds the bolt in place is essentially the exact same between a bolt rifle and an AR. You're a gunsmith, you know, there are tolerance differences, but
Yeah, definite tolerance differences, and also, but it's two
for the
different
most
action.
part,
There's two, and I've shot some really accurate ARs in my time. Even ones I've built, like just going again, getting good quality barrels, good quality bolt carriers, ammunition. Your trigger again comes down to the basics of okay, how to make it go bang, the device that it's going out of, and then you just you get a good quality optic and you're good. So you start playing with the idea of variances and stuff like that, to where you have someone. I'm guessing you have someone manufacture the mashed
prototypes and
up.
stuff.
Yeah, so you have mashed upper receivers, upper and lower receivers to because you're not manufacturing in house, are you?
No, we still don't manufacture in house. They're all our designs that we send out to machine shops.
Yep. Yep.
We have probably some of the strictest rules, and I honestly we send back a lot of stuff because, well, especially in the beginning, like they're trying to like gauge like, oh, how far can we push these guys? And it's like, no, we're gonna gauge everything, like everything that comes to the door, we're gonna gauge it and send it back to you. And which
No, that's what
it
you got to do.
and like they think that we're just gonna be lazy and not do it, I guess. But yeah, so we started like when we started doing is like because the oil field uses thermal fitting for tools, and they use it for like the endurance stuff, and then it's just taking the steps like down the rifle. It's like, okay, well, so that gives you the accuracy and then the durability of it. Like, what's the next thing in the rifle that like just moving down the rifle that actually matters? And it's like, okay, the bolt carrier group. It's like, okay, well, what's wrong with the bolt carrier groups that are being ran in rifles today? Because we had plenty of them jam in the military. I mean, we're running a lot of the M4s, the phosphate carriers, the mil spec stuff, and like it. And you start looking at like they're having to chrome line, they're having to do all these other things. The bolt carrier groups were super shaky. I mean, we took them apart about 1 billion times and put them back together. The fitment between the uppers and lowers is just absolutely terrible. And then just really expand like all right, can we improve this? Like, is this the best it can be? And then we started looking at like precision grinding, which is a manufacturing step that I don't really know of a whole lot of.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so precision grinding. So CNC machines can only get you so close when it
Yep.
comes to like tolerances. It's an aerospace thing. They
Yep.
also use it in the oil field. But precision grinding is then you take it to another step where you grind it down to an exact tolerance. So like it's like basically like it's like finishing up like a chair or something like that. Like whenever like a wooden chair, like you're sanding down to get that perfect curvature to it. That's what precision grinding is. Gets it to that like exact perfect tolerance. So every one of our bolt carrier groups are the exact same to probably more than a 10,000th of an inch. You just went on mute. I can't hear you. I think maybe it's me.
Yes, I hit mute somehow because
Oh.
I can't click buttons on my own show. God forbid. So I'm because I'm literally like, oh, let me make sure make sure I have the website pulled up, so I have reference material as we're talking about your product line. So now, as we said in the beginning, you have a PCC, an AR-15, and an AR-10. Your
Yep.
AR-10, which I mean, sorry, your AR-15, I am really digging because the amount of stuff that you guys put into these rifles is it's screaming accuracy, and this thing is literally you could drop this overseas no problem, and this is going to run your entire stint over there. So it's called the Doc series. By what does it mean by DOC?
So doc is what we're called as medics in the military.
Okay. Okay.
So, and our slogan is superior firepower is the best medicine.
Yep.
And that's the first step in TCCC, because in order to take care of casualties, you have to actually maintain, get fire superiority. So, I mean, the first thing in taking care of people is shooting at people. So, your rifle has to work in order to actually get on the X to get your guy off of it and work on him.
Yep, and it says here that your armor lube coating, which is it's like advanced DLC coating. What made you get into that?
Learn about it in the oil field. That was another thing, like kind of like going down the line, like the coatings and stuff. That and this is in 2022 maybe. They finally got like, so they developed, like, that coating was developed with the Army Research Center over 10 years. And there was all kinds of crazy standards that they had to meet for that. So it's actually replaced phosphate as the M4 bolt carrier group coating, um,
Okay.
for the government. No one's using it. It is insanely expensive. And that's why you don't see it on the civilian market,
Yep.
except for us. And there's
Other people.
one other company that does it, but they don't call it that. And so like the Army's research test, like they had to run like 10,000 rounds without failure, and like they ran it against like the phosphate coating. So the phosphate coating, they had like a lube to it. The armor lube didn't have any. It was completely dry. It had less than 5% wear after 10,000 rounds. I think the phosphate coating was like 30% wear or something like that after 10,000 rounds. So it had significantly better, and it eliminates the need for chrome lining, which you see in like your standard mil spec bolt carrier groups used to have chrome lining, which chrome lining is extremely difficult to make it even. That's why like chrome line barrels, you can never get more than like 1 MOA accuracy out of them, just because of the way it's applied.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Most
Uh,
of the time, 2 MOA is what you're getting out of it. But
Yeah, I've only taken maybe my AR, my like only I only have well technically I have a few because I have some receivers, but the like finished rifle I have is I've only took it maybe 50 yards. I don't really have a lot of places to get over 100 where I am here in Florida. But you know that again, it's if you're able to get half MOA out of a 16-inch barrel, that is insane. Like you don't see that
yeah,
everywhere. Some of the specs on the duck rifles that you guys have is, you got your single piece trigger guard, you're putting Geisley 2-stage SSA triggers in there, which I mean, hey, if you're not shooting a Geisley in an AR, you're doing something wrong. I'm sorry. It's probably the best trigger ever made on for an AR.
they make really good triggers.
I have the Super Dynamic Combat flat faced on mine. I could never go back. Like I have a couple just like I have some other like drop in triggers I'm like testing and stuff, but I'm like I'd rather just have my guys late. But then
I
it's
love
why
my
you're spending the premium for that trigger because it's that good. You got Radian ambi selectors. You got uh smoothest butter buffer systems. I like that how it says that.
which is our thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. And it's almost like it's a flat spring, right?
so it's a flat spring. We do a metal treatment to it. So like a typical carbine spring will last about 8,000 cycles before you start to lose the springiness to it. And whenever you start losing springiness, you start losing that forward pressure and then also that buffer effect. So you start getting reliability issues. Our springs will last 200,000 cycles before you start having, you start seeing the reduction in springiness, which most people will never put 2,000 rounds through a gun. You're probably going to break a couple other things before you have to change your spring out. But it
I've
also gives
never
30% more forward pressure. So like between like an armor lube coating and our buffer system, the last reliability test we ran 17,554 rounds without cleaning or lube before we saw the first failure, which is significantly
Yeah.
higher than anyone else in the industry.
No, that's insane amount of testing on just one gun. And now you putting now there's only a few models that you have because you have the G Watt Doc rifle in 14.5, the G Watt 16-inch, then you got a couple pistols. Um, one thing I'm gonna have to ask is what's up with the quad rail. I am not a quad rail guy. So when I see guys putting quad rails on guns, I gotta ask. But I'm guessing, is that just a military thing?
So I love a good quad rail. I think it's more functional than you're in it because it's more about hand space for me.
Okay,
It's thicker, so I get a better grip on it. And as far like and also for heat, it's a little bit better.
okay,
But the reason for the quad rail is pretty much every law enforcement contract we have is with a quad rail.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
All
and
right, that makes
so
sense.
all of our rifles are designed for military and law enforcement.
Yep.
70% of my business goes to law enforcement and government organizations.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
that's
not that big in the civilian side, and
oh okay.
that's by design. I phenomenally hate like I dealers are the lifeblood of this industry, but as being from my background, I'm not able to go in and talk to dealers very
Yep.
well because I don't understand why civilians buy guns. But it's easier for me to go and talk to law enforcement than it is because I understand what their needs are
Okay.
and why they buy rifles. And so
Okay.
and like the last department demo we did, like it's awesome going head to head with some of these larger brands, especially like they're with the SWAT teams and like they'll run obstacle courses and stuff. And I love watching other companies' guns fail.
I mean, hey, it's definitely a testament to the rifles that you make if you're the only rifle that's standing after all these other companies that are saying, yeah, we do all this amazing stuff, and they're failing after like a couple few, probably a couple mag changes. So yeah, it looks like you got a lot of great stuff. You even have you're doing a 6 millimeter arc SPR build. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is it? What's trying to do the 6 mil arc? Is it just trying to get into the precision market?
Yeah, it's just insanely accurate. I mean, it's hard with how accurate these guns are to not do like rounds like that. There's military applications and government applications, so that was the reason for or us going ahead and like launching that.
Okay.
That is a very hard round to tame. We probably put more work into trying to make that thing reliable than we did any of the other stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And so, guys, if you're out there listening live and you have any questions for me or Nathan, please do me a favor, write it in the live chat so we can go over it. We're going over Mitchell Defense's product line. And if you're out there listening and you want to help support the channel or donate, the Cash App is on the screen. Since we don't have super chats through YouTube, we are doing that to kind of offset the cost on that. Now, yeah, the Doc rifle is just phenomenal from what I see. And some of them you're
mhm.
putting proof research barrels in there, which I think, listen, proof research is the top tier. Like that's what you want for lightweight, accurate rifle, accurate barrels. Like it's the shit. So next
There
ref you
are
guys have.
downsides.
Yeah, they are downsized, and you got to take the good with the bad, especially with carbon fiber wrap barrels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But you have a lot of quality, which is understandable. The price tag, which is ranging between 2,000 to 3,000, depending on the model.
yeah.
But with the stuff that you have and all the high quality QC that goes into it, it's like, listen, you're buying a tool that will last you for a millennia, and which goes right into your PCC market, which is the Rat Dog. Same. What came into that? Like, how did you get into
So
the?
one of my buddies, who's a SARC, which is a special operations corpsman, he was over at MARSOC. We were actually talking about names, trying to like go stuff. His nickname is a rat dog, is because his nickname was that because he was able we call it thriving in the suck. He it didn't matter how bad things got, he just had a smile on his face and just kept kicking. Like he was just that guy that the shittier it got, the better, or the better he got at doing it. And it was just, And we were talking about, like, I was like, wait, what do I need to name this thing? He's like, dude, you can call it the rat dog. And that's how he talks. And I was like, that's actually the best name I could possibly think for this. Like, because one, rat dog is being what a rat dog is. I mean, they're just like little dogs that just same thing, just keep kicking. But also, like, for his story, it made a whole lot of sense because I mean, a PCC, the direct blowback system, is an extremely dirty system.
Yep.
And I personally did not want to do a PCC at first, just because you had to figure out the reliability. Like, I mean, PCCs are just unreliable. That's the one thing that is reliable about them. And so, like, I was just like, well, we're gonna have to completely redesign this thing, try and figure out how to make it reliable. And we did some stuff with, like, the bolt carrier groups, and also the bolt carrier groups are pretty much fitted to the uppers.
Okay.
But also our buffer system, and I didn't know this was going to happen. But our buffer system with that 30% more forward pressure, it does, and then also the armor lube coating on the bolt carrier groups, and we weight the bolt carrier groups. It just somehow created a symphony that just works so well. I mean, when we did the endurance test with the rat dog, we ran it, and we actually did multiple other companies' guns with this. And we ended the test at about 8,000 rounds because all the other companies failed at about 1,000 rounds. I'm like, all right, we won. I'm not doing this anymore.
This is way too much ammo. And yeah, but again, you're carrying the same QC over to the PCC. The only thing I see different is that you're running the American Trigger AR Black Gold PCC trigger, which I think I've never heard of that. But from what I'm looking at on the website, it is a definite flat face trigger. So I
Yep.
can see this, especially the street legal Rat Dog SKU, which is at $1,900. This would be a perfect rifle for, say, USPSA PCC. But you guys also offer some SBRs and pistols that hold tri-lug, which, I mean, hey, that's awesome. You're still, tri-lug is still being held, and it almost looks like an MP5 front on it. And guys, if you were watching this live and you want to see what we're talking about, you can check out Mitchell Defense on the Google, because I can't say the dot you know what, because since this weekend when this episode will be airing on YouTube, I'm trying to make sure everything's monetized. So, you can go to your favorite search engine and check out Mitchell Defense, and you can read along as we're going over the product line. When you're doing the PCC stuff, obviously, I think the PCC market is like, I see the military and law enforcement application for it, especially having like a perfect pair. If they're carrying a Glock style magazine or Glock style handgun, you have the ability to take that magazine and put it into your carbine and to extend the range of the 9mm.
If you can convince the law enforcement that, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know that's
Hard
probably a
sell.
tough, hard sell. But the fact that you're running for, again, it looks like a MP5 forehand, which is really cool. Like it's a very classy touch.
Yeah.
There's only one company I know that makes it, and they do, and it's only for, like, MP5 uh lowers, but this is taking Glock mag, so it
Yeah. So we have the slick rat dog that has, like, the MP5 style handguard on it, and we have the tactical that has, like, an M-lock mount to it.
Yep.
We do nothing in key mod, but
Thank God. Let Keymod die.
I don't know how key mod's still around.
My boss had a Keymod handguard on one of these AR-10s that he got from Knob Creek, because you used to go to Knob Creek back in the day, and the swap meets there, you get really insane deals, and that's how he picked up a lot of the handguards that he had. And I'm like, dude, I was like, Walter, why do you have Keymod? And he's like, I don't have no problem with Keymod. And I'm like, I know, but, like, it's just so archaic. Like, no, come on, let's let Keymod die.
I think key mod's newer than M-lock too.
I always thought
I think
it
key
was
mod came out.
reverse.
I think BCM and somebody else came out with key mod, and it was like as a forward towards M-lock. Like, M-lock came out, and then they all wanted to create their own thing.
Yeah. I prefer M-lock personally. It's just
So just little statistics for you. The government actually did a test on it,
yep.
which key mod only stayed on, I think, 30% of the time, and M-Lock never failed.
Yeah, that's why I gotta go with M-Lock because it's so much easier to attach
Work.
stuff. Uh,
Yeah, but
that's
yeah, so the PCCs.
we're getting way too nerdy here between Keymod, M-Lock, and then someone's gonna throw some other random attachment style that only fits like one specific handguard. I'm like, what?
The Remington handguard grips,
Yes. Yep.
which Remington uses and Q uses.
Yes, Q-Cert. I forgot about Q-Cert. Yep, always forgot
Yeah.
about
Yep.
So
Yeah. The PCC. So I mean, we take those things out to like 100 yards all the time, like ring and steel like 2-inch plates.
Oh, nice. Now, how are they suppressing? How are they
Amazing.
function over suppression?
Oh, amazing. I mean, it's a direct blowback, so it's the explosion of the round that's actually causing the bolt to cycle. So I
Yep.
mean, like subsonic, there's no adjustment to it. So subsonic
Yeah.
and supersonic, it does just fine. I mean, we
Awesome.
run Huxworks suppressors on everything.
Yeah, I
With
have.
Cas9.
Yeah, the first one I have I picked up was the Osprey 2.0 from Silencer Co. So I'm trying to figure out like okay, that's I was like I'll go with a 9mm suppressor because I got a lot of 9mm guns I shoot. And I'm
Yeah.
getting into some PCCs. I figured it'd be a good fit. Just they don't supply the piston, which it's a 9mm. Just drop a half by 28 piston in there. It's not that hard. If you're using 13x1, you know, listen, that's like some hipster shit. Okay.
You want the suppressor market is the wild west of this industry right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are actually making stuff up.
I haven't gotten that like that deep involved because I bought my first. I made it a point that when I bought my suppressor, I wanted to buy it through Brownells because they've always treated me very well. They've always taken care of me on the channel.
Great company.
So yeah, so it's I want I'm loyalty is very big with me. So there's certain people that I will have loyalty to the day I die, and it was very important that like hey I want to buy it through Brownells. So they had Silencer Co. They had Dead Air, and I've shot some Dead Air stuff. I never liked it, and I was never a fan of their customer service because it was as a gunsmith I had to send a Wolfman back for some warranty work while the kid was waiting for his tax stamp. It was still under our thing, and I don't like it. Just it needed to have the whole core replaced. It took 4 months just to get a hold of them. I'm not a fan of that. That's what kind of drew me off. So, but yeah, so I went with the Osprey. So I'm
Your speaker's going out again.
yeah, I know. I just saw that one. It's
Yeah.
I can again. It just I tap a chord and it just goes out. But okay, so as we're going through here, so now we're on to the very last product line which you guys offer, which is the pipe hitter, which I like the name of it because it makes me think of like a pipe fitter, like the pipe fitters and all that stuff. I'm guessing that has something to do with like you know your oil rigging background.
No, it's actually so pipe hitters are the what you call like the guys like the tier 1 units. Those are the guys who are like actually kicking indoors and killing the bad guys.
Okay, okay.
They're,
So
they're,
yeah, just I don't know if you could get this. I have no military experience at all. So
yeah.
these abbreviations, I'm like, oh, I have no idea. Never heard
Whenever
of
whenever we first launched it, the marketing company was like pipe hitter, like the person who does drugs. That's like
that. Oh, okay,
no,
yeah.
absolutely not. Yeah, there was some confusion with that one. But yeah, no, it's like the tier 1 dude. So it's like the whole idea is like it's the big boys. So it's the big boy
Yep.
cartridges that are doing big things in big ways.
Yep.
And so that's so the pipe hitter we started out with the carbon fiber barrels with a 20-inch.
Yep.
They were more precision guns. And then Q came out with their 8.6 blackout, and so we kind of ventured on over to the 8.6 blackout because I think that's an extremely cool concept.
Now, like? Have you had a chance to actually shoot 8.6? Like, what is your honest opinion of it? I have never shot 8.6, but I've heard so much about it that I'm like,
I've got like
okay,
6,000 rounds sitting over there that I gotta go shoot through.
damn,
Yeah, and
damn.
we did not get a discount.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
so
imagine.
8.6. So I love it. So I haven't gotten shot at suppressed yet. We just got the suppressors from Q a couple weeks ago. We just haven't done the test yet. But like I mean, during our testing and stuff, I mean the round's amazing. I mean it's a heavy round, but it's not as any worse than like a 308. You're running like a pistol buffer system, which we actually in our testing with the 308, the pistol length gas system actually performs better than some of the longer ones, which is weird. But I think it has something to do with how short it is. But so I mean, it shoots really, really well. I mean, the gel test on that thing, I mean, the cavitations are just absolutely amazing. I mean, Grand Thumb just did a video on it, but we did that test about a year ago.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Because I know a lot of people are trying to use that for hunting as well because it's pretty much a what was it 300 Win Mag and a 308 case almost. Is that the
so it's a
best way?
308, it's a 338 projectile, neck down, and a 308.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So and like we're pushing it real hard this year for bear protection up in Alaska.
Really? Oh,
So
okay.
we're really good friends with a lot of the guides up in Alaska. So they're doing a bunch of the bear protection stuff with it, and that was the big thing for them whenever they heard about it was like, well, we can't, like, no one ever wants to carry ARs because you can't, the rounds that ARs carry aren't big enough, and the ones that aren't reliable. So that's why they carry. They're like, well, this round sounds like it solves all of our problems. Because I mean, they would rather carry a 20-round magazine that they can put 8 rounds into a bear quickly versus a bolt gun that they're going to put 4 rounds in pretty slow.
Yeah.
And so like the 12-inch SBRs, they're like, yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing throwing a backpack.
That's why we're looking to SBR this bad boy because this will be in a backpack, side folding stock. Granted, it's a 9 millimeter. I think I can handle anything in the state of Florida with a 9 millimeter. If I have any marauder of
Maybe gators, but yeah.
Oh, listen, this is gator protection right here. Okay. 30 rounds of 9 millimeter, and oh, yeah, gets a Gideon optics on here. It's going to be one bad mammoth jamma. But yeah, if I'm in Alaska, obviously, I'm a big 10 mil guy, so I'd be carrying a larger caliber. I have a good friend out there. What is it? What's his channel's name? I always forget. It's Alaskan Ballistics. He's great channel, does a lot of hunting videos and a lot of ballistic tests on a lot of stuff like that. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, you know, people think there's just bears everywhere in Alaska, and he's like, you got to like go like into like the woods where no one is at. They're not in the major cities, and I'm like, oh,
They're just hanging out in Anchorage.
yeah, they're hanging around Anchorage and downtown, just roughhousing. Now, since you talked big about Alaska, are you a hunter at all? Do you do any big game hunting with the guns or no?
I don't. Well, I haven't yet. I am a hunter. I have had 0 time to go hunting. We have a place up in north central PA that like I just want to go do like deer hunting. We have elk up there, which we can't hunt, but
Really, I didn't know there was elk in Pennsylvania.
yeah, Elk County and then some over in Clinton County.
So you can't. Oh, what are they? A protected species because they're a very small population of elk.
Trying to reintroduce them. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get that. All right, I get
Yeah.
it.
So we're trying to do some like work with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation to try and clear out the land to where it's like elk friendly.
Okay, I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because in certain parts of Pennsylvania, it's just mountains.
Oh yeah, it's
I
beautiful country up there.
I love the Pocono area of Pennsylvania. That is like it's beautiful, and the amount of whitetail deer I saw was I saw more whitetail when I was visiting the Poconos than when
Yeah.
I
So
live in
where we
Massachusetts.
are, think like Poconos without people.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
So
that
we're like
sounds.
our property up there, we're surrounded on all 4 sides by state forest. And the next privately owned property to us is like 2 miles away.
Oh, that's heaven. I live
Out of
like
the middle of nowhere.
yeah, that's awesome. Granted, I'm a beach kid. Like I live 2 streets behind the beach, so like I'm around tourists, but like seclusion always seems like amazing to me.
Yeah.
But that's cool though. You're that's a market that a 12-inch SBR in 308. That's a market that a lot of people probably don't realize that could actually be very effective in things like Alaska, or even say if you're in like you're a game warden in Yellowstone or any type of game warden or environmental police. That's a very viable
Oh yeah.
firearm. Yeah, it's a very
Well,
viable tool that you can have.
well, especially the 8.6 because like how fast they're spinning it and taking down like larger animals quickly. We do have a 12-inch 308 that is obnoxious, but I wasn't going to do the 12-inch 308. That was the one gun I said I would never do, just because I mean a 308 is not designed to be shot short. Like 8.6 Blackout perfected the short barrel rifle with the
Yeah.
short cartridge or the
Now, are you using the fast twist rates in 8.6? Or are you using
the 1 and
okay.
3s.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep.
But but we actually had a department down in Florida that we got approached by that asked for a 12-inch 308 for their helicopter unit. I was like, that's actually a really good reason to run a short barrel 308. I was
Yeah.
like, we'll absolutely do it.
That's
So
awesome.
that's why we have a 12-inch 308.
Yeah. Well, now I'm guessing a lot of people see that and they're like, I want that. And they're like, oh. And then they shoot at the range once a year and they're like, yeah, this is really
Head hurt.
loud. Yeah, but I feel like I have a concussion.
Yeah, well, that's like the I used to have a Barrett 50 cal, and I think I shot that. I mean, I shot in the military, but yeah, afterwards, like you shoot like 4 rounds, there, you're like, this is not enjoyable. Like, my head hurts.
There was when I worked in Massachusetts at Cape Gunworks, the head RS, the like guy that ran the range, he was the range manager. He had a Barrett, and that indoor range is rated to 50 BMG, so you can shoot literally anything in there. So he brought his Barrett on the range. He's like, "Hey, you want to shoot it?" And I'm like, "Uh, I'm working the action because I've always wanted to like work the action on a Barrett." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And he's like, "I'm gonna go shoot it." I was in the range with ear pro on, and I was like, "I'm good. I'm all set." It was just no, you don't need it. But still, Barretts are cool. I just,
They're very cool.
but the concussion, I'm kind of
They're
a,
loud.
yeah.
They serve a purpose.
You know what it is? I'm a recoil sensitive type guy. Like 30-06 is like my threshold. Because when I go shooting, I don't want to hurt after. So like when I go sporting clay shooting, I'm shooting a 20 gauge just because one, I'm used to shooting 20 gauge. I enjoy it a lot more than 12, and my shoulder blade isn't completely blown out after 100 clays.
Yeah.
So but now, as we're winding down towards the end of the show, so you have all these different product lines. What are you ever? Would you ever consider getting into like developing a handgun, like an
No.
actual? No, you want it has you have
No.
no interest in it.
No. So actually, I was at Staccato all last week. We're partnering with them on a few things this year.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah, so but yeah, so I was down there and like watching the way that they design it. So in my opinion, there's three different markets in the firearms industry. There's bolt rifles, handguns, and ARs. I think a company needs to stay in their lane and operate in one of those.
I get
And
that.
I mean, I feel like there's a very popular company that came out with a handgun here recently that is an AR company that just also recalled their entire handgun line shortly after releasing it. But it's a totally different engineering idea. The gunsmithing behind handguns is so different. It's just if you specialize in something, and stay there. Personal opinion.
It took me a minute to realize what company you were talking about, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that thing sucked." It literally, I'm like trying to like do like I have this like Rain Man thing going on in my head. I'm like, what? Wait, I
Going through
understand.
companies, yeah.
I
Um,
understand. But yeah, I get that though, because like you're focusing on your bread and butter, and if you're good at something, why throw a wrench into that mix where you have kind of a system in place where you have it down to a science of how you get these rifles to work. You have a targeted demographic of who you sell them to. So if you're trying to create the next Glock 17 clone, is that really going to benefit you guys when you could be putting more effort into say other calibers or other designs within like your handgun, the handguards to your ARs or something like that? Like,
there's and that's like where it kind of like it's like if you want to be Glock, be Glock. Like
mm-hmm,
if you want handguns, perfect your handgun.
mm-hmm.
And same thing with like the ARs. And it's like you see companies that are releasing products that you see like like some companies will release like a bolt action. It's like, guys, your ARs suck. Like maybe we should put some like effort into how we're building those before we start releasing a like a bolt rifle. Or same thing with handguns. It's like, guys, you haven't updated it since the 80s. Like you took existing technology and ran with it. Like be better. That's my opinion.
Do better. And that's the thing. I think that's why a lot of people are starting to gravitate. I've noticed a lot of people are, especially people that watch this channel. Um, the Glock bills and the Glock clones are still really big, but I see everybody getting into 2011s because there's a little bit different there's obviously different mechanics to it, but also it
Kind of.
kind of. But you can get different style, and
Yeah. I will tell
it's
you who perfects the 2011 though. And I was not a huge fan of, like, I wasn't like a hater of staccato, like I have a staccato. But after seeing their facility and like the way that they actually make handguns, I'm like, you guys are doing it right.
yeah, I
Like
can imagine. I don't own a staccato. I've only shot one staccato once, and it was a good shooting gun. I really enjoyed it. But I've had chances to shoot like Atlas Gunworks. I know for a fact those guns.
they're hand fit though.
They're hand
That,
fit Nighthawk custom. Yeah, I'm an advanced 1911 armor that I got. I took that. I received that through college, and so 1911s. I've always had this love affair with, and because again, it can get into an art form. Same thing with AR building, and
mhm.
depending on how you get and how it's built and what parts you use, it's almost like a piece of art after you're done with it. So that's why I always like talking to people that are manufacturers, or they put their manufacturing ARs in, depending on how they do it and their design and like what made and like I find it so interesting that you're taking stuff that you learn from the oil business or the rigging business, and
Uh-huh.
now you're building you guys are manufacturing ARs that are precision made, like we said in the beginning of the show. Nobody is thermal fitting barrels anymore. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
The you guys have uh a really cool recoil design where it's going to be flatter shooting. You're putting good quality triggers in there. The barrels you take extreme quality in, and then obviously the bulk care groups and the finishing you do on stuff like that is, again, you're painting a Mona Lisa on something that shoots fireballs. Like it's that perfect mix that
Well, it's like
only
it's thinking outside the box. Like we took every single part of an AR and said, hey, how do we make this thing better? I mean, it's like like our gas rings on our bolt carrier groups. We coat those. Like there is no other company in the industry that coats gas rings. It's one of the highest wear items on the AR-15 platform, and
yep.
it's the thing that it can it handles the most amount of heat in the entire gun. So it's like, why would we not want to upgrade this to make it where it works better, like and last longer? Um, and like it's just, and that was like kind of going back to like how we got into it. So we started discovering how lazy a lot of these companies are as far as like their advancements, and that's where we thrive. It's I yeah.
I'm hey, and that's the thing. If you were able to hone in on that and kind of just hyper focus on one area, and you're able to now be flourishing. And from what I see, you've been doing a lot of trade shows. I've seen you at Shot Show, Range Day. What other shows did you do this year?
We did IV88. We did CanCon. We were supposed to go to ASGW, then we ended up not going. Thank goodness.
NHGW. North American Great is that Great American George or no?
Oh, the Great American Outdoor Show. We did that one. NASGW was it's the wholesale convention.
Oh, okay. I always get
Yeah,
those mixed up.
yeah.
I did Great American Outdoor Show last year. It's okay. It's okay.
It's long. It's hard to do after SHOT Show.
Yeah, and it's a
We'll do it again.
if you
I probably won't go.
listen, if you do that show, if anyone goes to Great American Outdoor Show, this is what I say. If you're just going to check out the guns, park where the gun expo center is. Because where I parked both days I went the first weekend. I parked all the way on like the hunting outfitters side. I had to walk all the way through the hunting outfitters, archery, fishing, and then to the firearms. It was like a mile and a half walk every day. I'm like, oh man, I wish I parked closer.
It's a cool
So
show though.
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was cool. I got to meet a few people, and see some of my friends and stuff like that there too. So it was a fun time. Now, are you going to be doing Suppress Fest at all this year? I know that's coming up in the October.
We're doing NRA in Dallas, and that's
Oh,
the
okay.
only thing that we have on the books right now for shows. Um, I have 4 sales guys that operate, and I'm going to break off and focus more on like law enforcement shows this year.
Yep.
And that's going to be my big focus, just because I mean the civilian side is it's the last summer was really brutal. This summer everyone's actually anticipating on it being pretty brutal. Um,
Really?
yeah, so we're trying to focus on the places where people are actually buying stuff.
Okay. When you say brutal, is you're looking at the market and you're seeing that ARs are going to take a downturn in the commercial side?
Yeah, the higher end ARs just aren't selling, and like last year, like last summer was like the whole industry as a whole was down 70%.
Yeah.
Which, like, I mean, it makes sense. Like with COVID and all that stuff, everyone bought guns. I think a lot, like right now, we sell a lot of the bulk carrier groups and a lot of the parts and
I
stuff.
was
We have
going to say
just released a lot of parts.
that was one thing I was going to say. So are you able to like you guys actually sell like your bulk carrier groups, your recoil systems outside of the physical ARs?
Yeah, so we sell uppers, lowers, bulk carrier groups. Not selling our buffer system. You can only get that in our rifles.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if we're ever going to release that as a standalone product.
Okay.
Um, just because
It's unique to the rifles.
yeah, it's one of the things. I mean, the bulk carrier group you can drop into any rifle, and you're going to instantly see more reliability and smoothness out of it. That's just an easy one. The buffer system, it's like it works really well with our rifles, and it works well in other people's rifles. It's just I don't know. Just I don't want people running them in their other rifles and being like, "Let's see, this thing's so smooth." It's like, yeah, but it's kind of our thing. But
If that's our thing, like stop trying to copy us.
yeah,
So
it has some other company's name on the lower, and they think that's the reason that rifle's so nice.
I see it. I get that. No,
Yeah, and you can't like engrave your logo on the springs, and people are going to see it. Like bulk carrier groups, our logo is engraved on there. You know they're running our bulk carrier group. The same thing with this, like with the springs. It's like, all right, you don't know it's ours.
yeah, unless you know it from that rifle, and
Yeah,
I get that. That's something that you try and keep it, but at least you're selling bulk carrier groups, uppers, lowers, all that good stuff like that. That's at least.
yep. So if you're building a rifle and you want a thermal fit, I mean, we're selling thermal fit uppers.
And now, how much are you selling thermal fit uppers for?
It's a great question. Do you have the website up?
Yes, I do have the website up. I just figured, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna throw you a curveball
Yeah.
right down the middle. Hey, what? How much are you selling this for? They are. This is why I run Mac. It should be running very quick, but of course, see, they're 250. All right, that's understandable for the machine that goes in it and the thermal fit. Okay, and your bulk carrier groups are about another $200, which again, that's not bad at all. Most bulk carrier groups between 150 to 175, 200. That's understandable.
I will say the next company that has anything that's anywhere close to comparable to our bulk carrier groups, retail for about $450.
Okay, that's. I mean, that's something I might even look into considering upgrading in my rifle. Is
Yep.
the bulk carrier group, and
We sold a bunch of them, and a lot of guys ended up buying rifles right after buying the bulk carrier groups because they were like, "Oh my gosh, these things are incredible."
yeah, and again, you're able to sell for like the builder community. You can buy a stripped lower, a matched upper and lower set, and kind of go from there. And you can kind of build it your own. So you're
Yeah,
still you're focusing on military and law enforcement, but also you're able to kind of cater to the builder community
yeah,
as well. So,
yeah.
for
Well,
people who like,
another thing you get out of our things is we use E Series Cerakote, which I don't know how familiar you are with Cerakote and like the
yeah,
types of Cerakotes.
yep,
So most companies use H Series because you can do camos and stuff.
yep,
But E Series is like their next level up
okay,
that has superior hardness, lubricity, and something else. Yeah, but you can't do camos in it. It's a solid color. It's so slick that it won't even stick to itself.
yep.
but it's also like SpaceX is using it on their space shuttle for
Oh
heat
wow.
dissipation and like
Okay.
scratch resistance. Yeah, it's a pretty incredible. But with between the bolt carrier group having extremely low friction coefficient and the coating on inside the uppers, and it's also fit for that bolt carrier group. Um, it's there's like whenever you like run that bolt carrier group, there's not that metal on metal sound, and it sounds like it sounds like you're just running butter back and forth on the
Yeah.
bolt carrier group. It's super smooth.
Yeah. No, exactly. So
Eliminates
when
all the
you
friction.
it it sounds like you pick this rifle up and all your points of contact, all your touch points are kind of firing on all cylinders, and at the same time you run that action, and you're also throwing radiant charging handles in most of your firearms, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
that
yeah.
is
So
one
charging
of the
handle, safety, and trigger were three things that we couldn't figure out how to do it any better. So we just bought who does it the best.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and that's another thing you don't have to worry about is uh now, say if I want to get a radiant charging handle that says Mitchell Defense on that, would I be able to buy that through you guys or
No. I mean, I
no?
guess you
Okay.
could call us and ask us. We're not going to put them on the website.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah. Okay,
Mitchell
I
Defense
get that.
marked radiant charging handle. No.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting over the hour mark here, Nathan. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me.
I got to nerd out a lot over how a lot of ARs are made. I'm telling you right now, it's like it's my Christmas getting to learn how certain people take a different look at building ARs. So especially with the definite engineering that see the engineering that goes into your guns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it it's very intellectually satisfying. So like I really appreciate you coming on and kind of schooling me up on what really should make an AR tick. For everybody who's out in the comments, please do me a favor and check out Mitchell Defense on all social media. Now, you guys are on Instagram, you have YouTube, and you guys are on Twitter.
I don't think we have a Twitter.
Okay, I'm still
Definitely have
getting used.
Instagram and YouTube. Our YouTube's terrible. Probably need to put some more work into that, but
Well,
Instagram's our main source of social media.
all right. Well, if I ever travel back up to Pennsylvania in the next couple of months, I'll have to pop in for a spell and say, "Hey, let's film some good content for you."
Yeah,
So,
we're moving to a new facility too, so you'll get to see the new place.
oh, that's awesome. That's cool. I was gonna say, what else you got coming up, and now you got a new facility coming. That's awesome. It's good to hear. And
Super excited about that.
I can't tell people to go on Rumble. I can, but on YouTube, just to make sure this is going to stay monetized, just Google Mitchell Defense if you're interested in picking up one of these rifles. Definite QC and quality that goes into these any type PCC, AR-10, AR-15. Do you have any? If anybody else is in the comments, have any final questions before I sign off? We've had a lot of people watching tonight. Looks like right now we're still going around 8 people watching now at the highest. So, but again, guys, thank you so much for watching. You had the final word, Nathan. Tell people where, if you got what else you got coming, if there's any other things you got to promote. You always had the guest always has the final word.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you having us on or having me on to talk about the rifles. I mean, so one big thing for those 8 people that are listening, if you go to the website and use site-wide 20, you get 20% off. Doing
Look
that for
at
your
that.
listeners. That's going to be good till what month are we in?
I want to say we're in
Be
April.
good till the end of May.
Oh, look at that. Site-wide 20. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. I'll make sure I put that in a blog post, tell people to check it out. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so weird coming over from YouTube to Rumble. Sometimes Rumble it's going higher and higher because we were so suppressed on YouTube doing the live streams, and now we're able to touch guns and talk about stuff a little bit more freedom. So
Yeah.
it kind of all depends. But I do appreciate you kind of bearing with me as a not really beta testing. We're actually just kind of converting everything over to live streaming on Rumble. And I do want to touch on this real quick, guys, before we get out. This Sunday, live on, I believe we're doing it on YouTube. We are starting our new podcast with our good friend DLD After Dark, aka Bubbles. We all know why we call him Bubbles because he's a mark man on YouTube. But we are starting the new podcast called Two Guys, One Gun. And we're, I know, just me. Yes, that's wherever your head's at. That's exactly where we came up with the idea. Yeah, Two Guys, One Gun is going live this Sunday. Check it out. We're going to be focusing on one firearm, specs, history, um, the amount of use it's done in the industry, and all bunch of cool nerdy stuff. So please check us out. We're probably going to be live streaming on both our channels. We're going to be making a couple more posts, but Two Guys, One Gun is going to start this Sunday. So as always, guys, see you next Wednesday on the Shooting the Woods podcast. Stay safe, stay shooting. We will see you guys soon. Okay, got that.